Hello, everybody. Ted Davis here with another album battle for you. These two albums right now that I have in my hand that I'm going to pit against each other both came out in 1973. One's an album from a very well-known band, and the other is an album by a pretty obscure band whose guitar player went on to do some very notable things. Of course, I'm talking about the Rolling Stones, Goat's Head Soup, Mick Keith and the boys right here. The cover. Got the inside there. Pretty weird cover art right here, but you know, I dig it. Against Grin, Washington D.C.'s very own, featuring Mr. Nils Lofgren right there. He would later go on to, well, he did some stuff with Neil Young around the same time that Grin was beginning to start out. He played on the After the Gold Rush album, and he played on Crazy Horse's first independent album, Sans Young. And Grin went on to have some decent success. Now, you know, they weren't a big band by any means. They opened up for some pretty notable acts of the day. They had a song called White Lies off of one of their early albums that got a lot of airplay in the Washington, D.C. area. But they were on A&M Records, and their next album after All Out right here, called Gone Crazy, had a song on it called Beggar's Day that Nazareth recorded for their Hair of the Dog album a few years later. It became pretty synonymous with them. But Nils went on to have a pretty notable solo career, and most notably replace Stephen Van Zandt in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, and he's still with the E Street Band with Stephen Van Zandt too. So, pretty notable career there. So, let's talk about this one first. Of course, the Rolling Stones, you know, Goat's Head Soup. I believe it was recorded in Kingston, Jamaica. Right here. So, here, got the liner notes right here. Got some of the cast of characters that appeared on here. So, personnel on here, you got, of course, Mick Jagger on lead vocals, guitar, harmonica, and piano. Keith Richards, of course, he was going by Keith Richard at the time, on guitar, bass, and vocals. Mick Taylor on guitar, bass, and vocals. A lot of the lead guitar stuff was done by Mick Taylor. Charlie Watts on drums. Bill Wyman on bass, and some of the cast of characters that appeared on this album include Nicky Hopkins on piano, Billy Preston on piano and clavinet, Ian Stewart on piano, and then you got Bobby Keys on tenor and Barry sax. He was the saxophone player with the band for a long time. Jim Horn on flute and alto sax, Chuck Finley on trumpet, and then in percussion you got Jimmy Miller, who also produced this album. And then Nicky Harrison did the string arrangements on Angie and Winter, and then Jim Price did the string arrangements on Do Heartbreaker. Andy Johns chief engineered this album. Worked with Zeppelin. He was working with Led Zeppelin around the same time too. So that's the cast of characters right here. I believe, like I said, it was recorded in Jamaica. Yes, it was recorded at Dynamic Sound Studios in Kingston, Jamaica. And this was the last album that Jimmy Miller produced with the band, because he had all sorts of drug problems at the time, and he was kind of too messed up to work with them. So Jagger and Richards would produce their follow-up album to This Is Only Rock and Roll, and then continue to produce the Rolling Stones output going forward. But let's talk about the songs. So on this album, you open up with one of my favorite Rolling Stones songs of all time, Dancing with Mr. D. Great vocals by Mick Jagger. Charlie Watts, just keeping a solid pocket throughout the whole thing. Cool hi-hat barks there he does. A great guitar solo by Mr. Mick Taylor. Awesome song. And then another one of my favorite Stones songs, 100 Years Ago. A really kind of moody, atmospheric tune that has a really, really great guitar solo by Mick Taylor at the end of it. Coming Down Again, great vocal by Keith Richards there. Cool saxophone solo by Bobby Keys. Do Heartbreaker follows that. One of the chart hits from this album. Really, really great funky hard rock tune with a great wah solo by Mick Taylor. Good vocals by Jagger too. And then the number one hit from this album closes off side one, Angie. Beautiful song. I never get tired of hearing it. You hear all sorts of rumors of who the Angie that actually inspired it was. I think some people say that it was a slang term given to heroin because Keith Richards was a heroin addict at the time. Other people say that it was David Bowie's wife, Angie Bowie, and I don't know, to be honest with you, but it's a great song. Opening up side two. So side one on this album is absolutely terrific. Side two is a little bit weaker, but still very solid stuff. Silver Train, very fun kind of throwback to Chuck Berry type song with some great vocals by Mick. Hide Your Love, really kind of laid back blues tune. I really enjoy it. Winter, a beautiful song. Beautiful song with some great cymbal work. Near the Bell by Charlie Watts at the end. It starts off soft, it builds and builds, and then it just gradually fades away. And the string arrangement on here is just absolutely killer. Can You Hear the Music? Another really fun tune, kind of a quirky song. And then closing up with Star Star, also known as Starfucker. really kind of fun chorus there, also kind of a Chuck Berry type tune. So overall, probably my favorite Rolling Stones album. Top to bottom, this is very solid. It's a little on the long side, 10 tracks, 46 minutes, kind of pushing the lengths of the vinyl disc at the time, but really, it's worth it. It's worth it. If I were to pick a Rolling Stones album, if I could only pick 5 Rolling Stones albums to take with me on a desert island, you bet your ass I'm picking this one. This is absolutely great. And then over here on the other side, we have Grin, Nils Lofgren and the Boys, right here. So, personnel on this album, you got Nils Lofgren on guitars, keyboards, and lead vocals. Bob Berberich on drums and lead vocals. The two would share lead vocals throughout Grin's career. Bob Gordon on bass and background vocals, and then Tom Lofgren on guitars and background vocals. This would be the first album with Tom Lofgren playing with them. Grin before this were a power trio. And then Kathy McDonald does a lot of the female vocals on a lot of these songs, and Anthony Hudson and a whole bunch of other people did the artwork and stuff like that. So right here, get that. I really enjoy this album cover. My mom thinks it's kind of creepy, but yeah, this is a limited edition release that Columbia came out. Jeez, I don't know. I don't even know how Columbia got the rights to re-release it, but it came out a number of years ago. David Briggs produced this album as well. So what are the songs on here? So it opens up with Sad Sad Letter, really catchy, kind of driving emotional song there. I love it. Heavy Chevy, funky rocker. I love that one too. Heavy Chevy. It's really cool. Don't Be Long. Really cool song there. Love Again, kind of a moody song. And then closing off side one is She Ain't Right with some really good vocals by Nils Lofgren. You know, one thing I will say about this album is that Kathy McDonald's vocals sort of annoy me. Just a little bit. I don't mind them too much, but there gets to be a certain point where it's like, oh, okay. That's enough there. But side one on this album is killer. So side two, again, you know, in my opinion, not as good as side one, but still some solid tunes on here. Love or Else is a very percussive song. Some great drumming by Bob Berberich on that. Ain't Love Nice is a kind of a fun country rocker tune with some great vocals by Bob Berberich as well. Heart on Fire, I think, is the epic on the song. It's also the longest song on the album. Some great guitar work by Nils on this song, some great vocals by him, and Kathy McDonald's voice, I think, really fits well in this song too, and some great drumming by Bob Berberich as well. The title track, All Out, kind of a honky-tonk waltz song there, some great vocals by Bob Berberich too, and then Rusty Gun, kind of my least favorite song on the album. It's pretty good, you know. It's in my opinion could have been filled in with something else. But it's nice and percussive. Some pretty good vocals by Nils Lofgren on there. So overall, probably my second favorite Grin album, next to Gone Crazy. Gone Crazy, I think, is my favorite Grin album, which is the follow-up to this. So if you've never been exposed to the music of Grin, I would say either start with this one or start with Gone Crazy, which came out the next year in 1974. So if you kind of like some of the stuff, because Nils Lofgren kind of has like a really Bob Dylan style voice, excuse me. And if you like some of the stuff maybe that Neil Young was doing at the time, and maybe Bob Dylan too, and like Poco and Flying Burrito Brothers, stuff like that. If you like kind of like country, like good kind of countrified rock with like a little bit of a hard edge to it, this is a good band to check out. Like I said, probably start out with Gone Crazy before you go to this one. Because Gone Crazy is also a lot longer. This album's only like 33, 34 minutes long. But Grin, solid band. I've always really, really enjoyed their music. So when it comes to pitting the two albums against each other, I will say this is a very hard decision for me because I like this album quite a bit. I really, really do. There's some great songs on this album. But this is the Stones here we're talking about. And just, yeah, this I've had more history with this album than I have with this one. Although I have had a good history with this album. But this you can't. It's tough to beat this. It really is. I mean, this is my favorite Stones album, and I just like it. I like it, a little bit better than this. It's not by much, 7th round KO or something like that. Nils Lofgren and the boys put up a really good fight, but Mick knocks him out with an uppercut, and Keith Richards knocks out Mr. Tom Lofgren with a hook to the chest. So the Rolling Stones win this battle for me, but of course, if you like this one better, that's fine. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just an excuse to talk about these two really good albums. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for watching this video, and we will see you guys with more stuff. Bye-bye.